After studying this module, you shall be able to know the meaning of cost of capital, identify the sources of capital, learn to calculate the cost of capital for various sources, evaluate the tax effect on the cost of capital, analyze the impact of capital structure on the weighted average cost of capital. Every firm needs funds to finance its investment projects. Some projects involve huge amount of investment which cannot be financed through own sources. They definitely require external sources of finance. The finance is available with the savers, but people have preference for liquidity and to induce them to part with their money, some return has to be offered to them. But there are other players in the market who require money and they would also offer some return. The providers of these finance can put their money with them and generate some return. To induce such investors to invest their money in the firm, something extra has to be offered which could be less risky with the same return or more return for the same risk. This return will be a compensation for the time and the risk in investing in the project and therefore must be given to the providers of finance. This is known as the cost of capital of the project. A firm may take up more than one project and in that case the weighted average cost of capital of all these projects will make up the cost of capital of the firm. Therefore, we can define cost of capital as follows. The cost of capital is the minimum rate of return which a firm requires as a condition for undertaking an investment, as defined by Milton H. Spencer. Now let's come to the significance of cost of capital. The cost of capital is the most important concept in the business world. Any business has its object of generating maximum returns, and if more earnings are left after providing for the suppliers of finance, there will be more economic value addition. Cost of capital also serves as a cut-off rate in evaluating the investment projects. The financing decisions are also taken on the basis of cost of capital. The cost of capital of various sources of finance provides as a base for deciding upon the capital structure of the firm. That is, what should be the composition of various sources of finance in the total capital of the firm. Similarly, when returns generated by a firm are in excess of the cost of capital, the dividend decisions becomes easy. Thus, the importance of cost of capital can never be overemphasized. It is used as a standard for first, evaluating investment proposals, next, planning of capital structure, meaning of performance or measuring its performance, and formulating the dividend policy. Now let's come to evaluating investment proposal. A long-term investment should be committed only after thorough consideration. These decisions involve heavy investment and are difficult to reverse. If these decisions are reversed, they entail huge losses. Cost of capital helps in taking the right decision. The two major techniques that are used in capital budgeting, that is NPV, net present value, and IRR, internal rate of return. Use cost of capital as the benchmark. In fact, NPV uses the cost of capital as the cutoff rate on which all the calculations are based, whereas IRR uses the cost of capital to compare. An investment proposal is accepted if NPV is positive and is rejected if it is negative. NPV is calculated by discounting the post-tax cash flows using cost of capital. IRR, on the other hand, is that rate of return that makes net present value of cash flows to be 0. If it is more than the cost of capital, proposal should be accepted, otherwise rejected. The cost of capital becomes a benchmark for inviting the funds from owners or creditors to the investment projects at a specified cost. Let's come to the planning the capital structure. Capital structure means composition of various sources of finance in the total capital of the firm. It is a very critical decision which requires careful thought. There are various sources of finance and the cost of each source is different. Some sources like equity is a costlier source, but the risk involved is also less. Whereas debt is another source which is not very costly but also gives tax shield, but the risk involved is high. The balance has to be achieved in the composition of debt, equity and other sources in such a way that the overall cost is not very high and is commensurate with the risk involved. The two major factors in deciding about the capital structure is cost of capital and the other is risk. Therefore, the significance of cost of capital cannot be undermined in planning the capital structure. Now let's come to measuring the performance. Cost of capital serves as a measure of performance in two ways. It provides the benchmark against which actual performance will be measured. Actual performance can be measured in terms of return and also in terms of cost. Thus, cost of capital serves two purposes. One, by giving a target returns which must be above the cost of capital. In case the actual return is more than the cost of capital, the performance is considered as good. Also, if the actual cost of raising capital is less than the expected cost, the financial performance of the management is applaudable. Now let's come to the formulation of dividend policy. Cost of capital also helps in formulating the dividend policy. If returns are above cost of capital, then it is easier to distribute dividends provided that there is enough liquidity. Had the cost of capital not been determined, it would have become difficult for management to make out if there is enough scope of distribution of dividends. Now let's come to the factors affecting cost of capital. There are some factors which affect the cost of capital. These factors affect the specific cost of capital as well as the weighted average cost of capital. First, risk is a very important factor in determining the cost of capital. Investors are generally risk averse and would like to keep their money with themselves. To induce them to part with their money, return has to be offered to them, which is directly related to the level of risk perceived by them. Thus, risk is a very important factor in determining the cost of capital. Next, the component of debt in the capital structure is another important factor. An investor would like to get a minimum return equal to the opportunity of earning return in the next best alternative investment. Should entire funds be arranged through equity? The entire risk and return is of equity holders. In that case, the risk of the project will become the risk of the equity holders, and also return of the project will become the return of the equity holders. However, if some amount is being financed through debt, the risk of equity holders increases. The debt component is considered less risky as debt holders are paid interest before any dividends become payable. Besides, they get preference in repayment of capital in case of delinquency. Thus, the equity holders start demanding more return, that increases the cost of capital. Next, we come to capital structure affects the weighted average cost of capital. Capital can be arranged using three major sources. First, debt, then preference capital, and then equity capital. As we have seen that debt is more risky to the firm, but its cost is also less. Interest on debt is tax deductible, thereby making the cost of debt even much less. Preference shares have features of both debt and equity. Just like debt, it is paid interest at a fixed rate. Preference shareholders are also paid dividends at a fixed rate before making any payment to equity shareholders. But unlike interest, dividend payment is not tax deductible. Preference shareholders get preference in repayment of capital after the debt is paid in full, but before making any payment to the equity holders. Thus, they fall somewhere between debt and equity. They are more risky than debt and less risky than equity. Their cost will also lie somewhere between debt and equity. Equity capital is not risky to the firm, but the cost to the firm is very high. There is no compulsion to any equity holder any dividends if even there are profits. The profits can be retained in the business, so the risk to the investors is very high and they demand more premium for this risk, thereby increasing the cost of capital to the firm. Thus, if a firm has more of equity in the capital, its weighted average cost of capital will be high. But if debt is present in moderation, the weighted average cost of capital will be less. Let's come to the specific cost of capital. the return to the investor is generally the cost to the issuers. Now first we come to cost of debt. A firm may raise debt either from banks, financial institutions, or from public in the form of deposits or debentures. The consideration, that is, interest, forms the basis of cost of capital. The interest may be paid as per the contract. The company may provide interest as per the rate. The debentures or bonds may be issued at par, at premium or at discount. But the coupon rate is always applied on the face value of bonds or debentures. Debt can either be redeemable or irredeemable. In case of irredeemable debt, there is no obligation on the firm to repay the principal. Therefore, the rate of interest, tax rates, net proceeds from issue are the factors relevant in calculating cost of debt. But when the debt is redeemable, the cost of capital also depends upon the amount and timings of interest and repayments. Now we come to redeemable debt. The cost of capital is the rate which equates the net proceeds with the present value of outflows at this rate. This rate is determined using trial and error method. The cost of redeemable debt is given by a formula, that is, cost of debt is equal to I into 1 minus T plus RV minus NP divided by N into 100 divided by RV plus NP divided by 2. Here the KD represents cost of debt after tax, I represents annual interest payment per debenture, NP shows net proceed per debenture, RV represents redemption value per debenture on maturity, and tax shows the tax rate which is shown by the T. Now we come to cost of irredeemable debt. KD is equal to I into 1 minus T upon NP. KD shows the cost of debt after tax. I is the annual interest payment per debenture. NP is the net proceed per debenture, and T shows the tax rate. Now we come to redeemable in installments. Sometimes, however, the bond may be rapid in installments. Every year, instead of repayment in lump sum at maturity, the cost of such bond can be calculated by equating the net proceeds to the cash outflows on the account of interest payments, deductible for tax purpose, and outflows towards amortization of debt. By trial and error, we may find this cost of equating NP with the present value of cash flows, which is given by CF1 upon 1 plus KD plus CF2 upon 1 plus KD into 2 until CFN upon 1 plus KD into N. Cost of existing debt. It may sometimes be possible that a company has already issued debentures which are redeemable after some years. The market price of the debenture is available. If the current market price be taken as net proceeds, then cost of debt calculated is called as current cost of debt. Current cost of debentures is equal to I 1 minus T upon market price into 100. Now let's come to an illustration. 5 years ago, Y Limited issued 12% irredeemable debentures at rupees 103 and rupees 3 premium to their par value of rupees 100. The current market price of these debentures is rupees 94. If the company pays corporate tax at a rate of 35%, what is its current cost of debenture capital? Now let's come to its solution. The current market price of 12% debentures is rupees 94. Its corporate tax rate is 35%. Since it is 12% debentures, therefore yearly interest payment will be rupees 12. So the current cost of debenture will be interest into 1 minus T upon market price into 100. That means 12 into 1 minus 0.35 upon 94 into 100, which will give you 8.3%. Now let's come to cost of preference shares. The cost of irredeemable preference share capital is given by cost of preference share capital irredeemable is equal to PD upon NP into 100. Now again let's take an illustration. A company issued 13% irredeemable preference shares at rupees 95. Find the cost of preference shares. As we know that cost of preference share capital irredeemable is equal to PD upon NP into 100. That is 13 upon 95 into 100. The cost of redeemable preference shares, that is KP, is given by an approximation. This is an approximation. KP is equal to PD plus RV minus NP upon 100 into 100 upon N upon RV plus NP upon 2. KD here shows the cost of preference shares. PD is the annual dividend payment per preference share. NP is the net proceed per preference share. And RV is the redemption value per preference share on maturity. Now let's come to the preference share capital versus debt. Let's consider the first point. Preference shares are entitled to fixed rate of preference dividend, but there is no legal obligation on the company to pay. It has to pay preference dividends only if there are sufficient profits. Next point, there is interest is a charge against profits, whereas preference dividend is an appropriation of profits. No tax benefit is available on preference dividends as they are paid from after tax profits. Rather, corporate dividend tax CDT is paid on the amount distributed to preference dividends. Although there is no compulsion on the company, but preference dividends are generally paid by the company. If preference dividends will be in arrears, they will have voting rights on all matters and equity holders will not get any dividends too. This will tarnish the image of the company and it will become difficult for the company to be able to raise funds in future from these sources. Now let's come to the cost of equity share capital, also known as cost of retained earnings. Earnings of a firm can be reinvested or paid as a dividend to the shareholder. If the firm retained part of its earnings for future growth of the firm, the shareholder will demand some compensation from the firm for using that money. As a result, the cost of retained earnings simply represents a shareholder's expected return from the firm's common stock. Cost of equity is difficult to calculate as there is no fixed dividends and there is no repayment schedule as well. Despite that the cost of equity can be calculated by making certain assumptions, these assumptions are as follows. The dividend price model. This model assumes constant dividend or dividends at constant growth rate. As per this model, KE is equal to D upon P0 when dividends are constant, or KE is equal to D1 upon P0 plus G, where G represents the constant annual growth rate in dividend. Now let's take an example. ABC company provides the following details. D0, that is 4.19, and P0 50 and growth 5%. Now calculate the cost of equity. The solution will be D1 is equal to D0 into 1 plus G. That means 4.19 into 1 plus 0.05, which will give you around 4.395. So KE will be 4.395 divided by 50 plus 0.05, which will give you approximately 13.79%. Another model for calculating cost of equity is CAPM, Capital Asset Pricing Model. As per this model, KE is equal to RF plus B into RM minus RF. Here RF represents risk-free return, RM represents market return, B beta, which measures the risk of the security. Now let's take another example. ABC company provides the following details. RF given 7%, beta 1.20, RM minus RF 6%. Now calculate the cost of retained earnings based on CAPM model. Here the KE will be equal to 7% plus 1.20 into 6%, which will give you around 14.2%. Now come to the cost of external equity. The cost of retained earnings is always less than cost of external equity. It is less because there is no flotation cost. Here K dash E will be equal to D1 upon P0 into G plus G upon 1 minus F. Here K dash E represents cost of external equity. D1 is the dividend expected at the end of first year. PO is the current market price per share. G, constant growth rate applicable to dividends, and F is the flotation costs as percentage of the current market price per share. So K dash E will be equal to KE upon 1 minus F. Now let's come to weighted average cost of capital. Weighted average cost of capital is the overall cost of capital, that is the average of all specific costs of capital in proportion of their presence in the total capital. WACC is the overall cost of capital. Now let's come to marginal cost of capital. Whenever there is additional capital required, it may be not be available at the same weighted average cost of capital as the existing one. More loans may be raised at higher rate and the risk of equity will also increase. so the cost of equity will also increase. This will raise the overall cost of additional funds. This increased weighted average cost is known as marginal cost of capital. Now let's summarize all the discussion. First, average and every firm needs funds to finance its investment projects. Next, the cost of capital is the most important concept in business world. Next, importance of cost of capital lies in first, evaluating investment proposals, planning of capital structure, measuring performance, formulating the dividend policy. There are some factors which affect the cost of capital. These factors affect the specific cost of capital as well as the weighted average cost of capital. These factors are risk and the component of debt in overall capital. That is, capital can be arranged using three major sources: debt, preference capital, equity capital. Specific cost of capital is the cost of debt. The cost of redeemable debt is given by the formula, which is KD is equal to I into 1 minus T plus RV minus NP upon N whole upon RV plus NP upon 2. Cost of irredeemable debt, KD is equal to I into 1 minus T upon NP. Cost of preference shares, cost of preference share capital, which is irredeemable, given by PD upon NP into 100. The cost of redeemable preference shares, KP, is given by KP is equal to PD plus RV minus NP upon N into 100 whole upon RV plus NP upon 2. Cost of equity share capital, the dividend price model. This model assumes constant dividend or dividends at constant growth rate. As per this model, KE is equal to D upon P0 when dividends are constant, or KE is equal to D1 upon P0 plus G where growth rate is constant. The cost of external equity will be K dash E is equal to D1 upon P0 plus G whole upon 1 minus F. That will give K dash E is equal to KE upon 1 minus F. Weighted average cost of capital is the overall cost of capital, that is the average of all specific costs of capital in proportion of their composition in the total capital. Marginal cost of capital, whenever there is additional capital required, it may not be available at the same weighted average cost or capital as the existing. More loans may be raised at higher rate and the risk of equity will also increase, so the cost of equity will also increase. This will raise the overall cost additional funds. This increase in weighted average cost is known as marginal cost of capital.